Hello, hello, hello. News channel live 6 o'clock news from Michigan. A new line there. I just thought of. And we got Tim and Vidal in this time. And Daniel, you made it early. That's good. We had a good show again last night. Our first big show of the year. We had 411, and it's over 420 from last night. So we beat our record. Well, since I got my channel back, when I first started, I was getting quite a bit on the show. But I'm already over the million mark, so. And I sent you that clip of that church burning down this afternoon. I wonder what happened on that one. Lucy, Carol, missing Kimberly again. And Dragonfly haven't been in a while. All the lurkers, Greg, Dave. There's Carol. Yep, 6 o'clock is a better time, I think. And probably still sleeping. KK should be in here. What do you know? It's KK. Another big lineup tonight again, you guys. Another big one. Well, okay, I guess I didn't get chosen. Everything was good today. Inspection. They didn't come to my apartment. There's Lucy. You're late. Sorry about your team losing last night, Lucy. They won last year. And Terry got here on time. It's good that Daniel and Terry got in here on time. Hey, Kay, can you maybe do me a favor and check out the YouTube lady tonight's video? I think this one's okay to play tonight. Oh, Lante Lucy. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah. Chico. No, the one on YouTube. The funny lady on YouTube. I gotta open the window. I gotta open the window. Come on, you. Hey, better settle down. Yeah, I just sent it. Yeah, this one's a little better. How's your migraine tonight, Lori? Welcome, Lori. Oh my goodness. We had a good our biggest show last night for the year so far. Hopefully we're getting everybody back. People are starting to find my channel again. And I think 6 o'clock is going to be a good time for everybody. JJ should be in. Wait a few more minutes here. Anne's probably not awake yet. She must have slept. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Hopefully everybody will be getting in. Chico!
Multi-year military operation executed under sealed indictments and international wartime jurisdiction. These arrests are not political theater. They are precision strikes
About 3 minutes.
against an integrated global criminal network that
Oh,
operated
she's
above
not?
national
Okay.
law for decades. The targets are not low-level operatives. They are financial controllers, NGO intermediaries, media gatekeepers, pharmaceutical executives, intelligence cutouts, and religious laundering channels used to move money, traffic influence, and shield crimes. The same structure repeats across continents because it was centralized by design. This is why multiple countries are involved simultaneously. Jurisdiction hopping no longer works. Diplomatic immunity no longer protects. Offshore accounts no longer hide assets. Military tribunals bypass corrupted civil courts that were compromised long, long ago. Financial freezes are already active. Shell foundations are being dismantled. Data servers are being
Everybody
seized.
likes him, right?
Evidence chains are locked and mirrored across multiple allied commands. This phase is about containment, isolation, and extraction. Public exposure always comes last. The delay people sense is not hesitation, it is sequencing. You do not announce a takedown while the network is still being rounded up. You cut the exits first. This operation is synchronized with global financial restructuring, asset recovery, and institutional collapse prevention. Removing the criminals without stabilizing the system would trigger chaos. That is why the process is controlled, quiet, and methodical. History will record this period as the moment the shadow governance ended. Nothing can stop what's coming. This is Dark to Light. And remember, where we go one, we go all. It is a coordinated, multi-year military.
How old that was? I might have played that, but some people might not have seen it. All right, okay.
And your nurture.
What's up, family? Welcome back to Out of the Darkness. I am Q. I am so excited. Today is the day. It's going down. We have been waiting for years. years for this day to come, and it looks like the day is finally here. Let me say this first and foremost before we get into this story. I know so many of you guys have been frustrated, just as I have been frustrated, at the speed at which Donald Trump and this DOJ has moved. I've been frustrated by it. I've been frustrated by the fact that I feel that Pam Bondi has not been as diligent in her picks and as diligent in her administration as she should be. I don't feel that she's had a tight enough lid on her organization, but I could forgive all of that if these indictments come through. If she gets these people put in prison, I can deal with that. But I also have to be fair and realize that, yes, many of you guys have said, Q, we had dozens and dozens of people from our side arrested. We've had dozens and dozens of people on our side be perp walked and taken to jail. That is correct, guys. But let's also be fair. We, the people, were not actively monitoring and actively involved in our judicial system. We weren't voting for judges like we should locally. We weren't paying attention to these judges as they were being seated. The problem is that Trump was the first one to actually bring that to our attention as a whole. Maybe a few of us were watching and watching closely, but it wasn't until really the last 10, 15 years where the judicial branch has had such a major effect on our day-to-day lives. And so we've seen cases attempt to be brought, but these liberal activist judges have shot it down. But all that changes today, because now the Trump administration has finally figured we have a state. We have a state where we have impartial judges, that we have judges that will actually seek justice, and that is the great state of Florida. For all of its issues, it's not a perfect state, but I will say it's one of the better states when it comes to impartial judges that will actually administer justice. So we know that there has been a grand jury that has been impaneled today. They are hearing evidence about Crossfire Hurricane, the Russia hoax, as you might remember it as. And they're also hearing evidence as it pertains to the attack. Well, not attack, but the improper search of and the storming of Mar-a-Lago. We know that there were issues there. We know that Obama is implicated. Hillary Clinton is implicated. John Brennan is implicated. We also know that that James Comey is implicated. Biden is implicated. Eric Holder is implicated. The list goes on and on, but these are the big fish, and we know that we have the goods. We know that we have the proof. We have the paperwork. We have all of this. It is not a question as to whether or not these people are guilty. It's not a question as if there's enough evidence to put them in jail. The only question that there really is can we get an honest juror? Can we get an honest judge? And I believe we can. That's the only thing stopping us from seeing people pay for their crimes. Let me know what you guys think about this. I think it's a great day. I'm excited.
All right, that was another good one from Q. I got the next one. You guys are going to like 21 minutes. I guess I'll let you decide on who do you think it is. "21 minutes." Her Sunday show.
Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. It is Sizzling Sunday. Wow, there's so much going on, and we have a lot to get through tonight. There is going to be a very interesting article that we're going to post directly after the show. There's actually going to be a couple of things I'm going to point out this evening. So one of these is regarding the World Economic Forum. And we've spoken about this for some time now. But I want you to actually read the article because there's some very interesting points of interest that I'm going to bring up, because this actually coincides with these new changes that are about to occur, especially this coming week with tariffs. We'll get into that shortly. Indonesia are going to be attending the World Economic Forum event. They're calling it an event between January the 19th to the 23rd. 23 is equivalent to pain in gematria, just for those who do all that kind of stuff. There's going to be 3,000 participants. That's a lot of countries being represented.
JJ, there's your
But what got my curiosity and interest was that, of course, being Indonesia, the Indonesian currency. We've seen the news just this week on Indonesia. They are looking exceptionally strong. Their country is becoming more and more stable, so their representation from their government prepares two development schemes.
Yeah, the color the same one as
moving into the World Economic Forum. Now, this structure, this completely indicates to me, ladies and gentlemen, of exactly what we've been talking about, how the restructuring of the World Economic Forum, be that as it may, the Western and Eastern and International Forum coming together under this umbrella. What they're discussing is global business, ladies and gentlemen, for these countries to move forward in the currency revaluation. Have a read and with an open heart and an open mind. I'm sure you will find it rather interesting. And as I always say, put that emotion aside about what you previously knew of the World Economic Forum, because those assets were seized quite some time ago. I want to draw your attention, of course, now to Vietnam, because that is one of the currencies that we hold as well. What's interesting about Vietnam is that we've just found out that they've just found 430 billion barrels of oil reserves off Ho Chi Minh City. That, ladies and gentlemen, is much bigger than Venezuela's. Do you see my point? It is becoming very, very, very interesting. We then move across the oceans to Iraq. And of course, there is a lot of interesting things going on, but we're seeing more and more about their caretaker government. And of course, Maliki, who we thought was bad, has come back into the picture again. So keep an eye out on that, because believe it or not that I'm a nightclub person, but I did happen to catch a taxi one night in Western Australia. And this former Iraqian said to me that he actually thought Maliki was pretty good. So that kind of flew me out the window just there. But as I said, who's playing who in the house? And he's come back. And of course, we did see those articles today. So they are being caretakers of that government. We are looking forward to the onset, of course, that being our quantum voting system. We're talking about voting. It is getting exceptionally interesting over there in the States. We will come back to the RV towards the end, but I just wanted to bring up what is happening this week so we can focus on it, and then we'll come back and have a look at some very good RV connections that we've made. Let's go back to Crossfire Hurricane. What is it? Oh, well, on Monday, tomorrow, they're going to be going and talking about this new federal grand jury is set to meet on January the 12th. This was the DJT exposing the CIA and the Five Eyes. Its operations and, of course, the raid on Mar-a-Lago is under scrutiny. This also lines up with the 2016 presidential elections, which we have heard about whispers in the background, and, of course, the Clinton emails regarding Russia, Russia, Russia. Now, I want you to think about a couple of things in the sense that when we talk about Crossfire Hurricane, when we look down a barrel of a scope on a pretty good piece of equipment, you see a cross, don't you? It's like the crossbow. And is this the plus signs that we see, of course, of those who follow the Q posts? And is this going to be the shot heard around the world? Crossfire Hurricane. The storm is upon us. Just another little spin and just to get you excited. But what's more important to that, the grand jury, of course, these proceedings are generally conducted in secret. This is to secure the indictment. Now, the reason I got very excited about that is because we have been waiting for a very long time for a public announcement or to notify us with the first arrest or indictment. Now, it even gets better this week, ladies and gentlemen, if you thought that was pretty juicy. On January the 13th and 14th, let's not forget, of course, the depositions against Bill and Hillary Clinton. Oh, my bad. And, of course, that was delayed to the 13th and 14th of January. We almost forgot about that because it seemed like, oh, yes, just another delay, we sort of said. But it's now due this week. But listen to this. Coma, not Homer. It's not Homer Simpson show, although sometimes it feels like it. But Coma has threatened that if the Clintons with content if they do not show up for this deposition. So again, we have the 12th, we have the grand jury on Clintons. Day 2 and day 3, the Clintons. It's getting very, very exciting this week, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we have all the other hoo-ha going on in the background, of course, in the political arena at the White House. So keep an eye on all of that. Let's go to the finance sector, though, because this is where it starts to tie in with, of course, the RV and the currency exchanges. In the finance sector, we're looking at what's happening on 13th, of course, the CBOE. What is that? That is, of course, your Chicago Board of Operations Options Exchange. Okay, so they operate the largest exchange. Okay, so that's why this is really important. They are hosting, of course, their second educational sessions. Now, we talked about this just prior to Christmas, and we also talked about how Iraq was also doing education. Do you see how this is starting to connect? Get excited. So they're also hosting another session of mechanics and the use cases of the future contracts of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Why is that important? Well, these futures are predicting, of course, what the markets are going to do with Bitcoin and Ethereum. This also helps explain to you all about why DJT, and of course that being, I think it was Eric Trump, took control of the Bitcoin mining in the US so they can control it. Do you get it? Listen carefully. The 10-year expirations on these so-called futures of Bitcoin and Ethereum are listed with daily cash adjustments. That means that if you were to invest in these correctly, you will receive cash adjustments. Now, if cash is gold and silver, ladies and gentlemen, it's been my theory for quite some time regarding that during the COVID scamdemic, I saw Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tether all go to zero. So if you're wondering it's all going to go to zero, I believe it already has. Just my opinion. But this just secures that theory, okay? So due to the quantum blockchain, though, these perpetual futures futures of Bitcoin and Ethereum have...
You missed last night.
what they've done is they've actually been traded normally offshore. But the CBOE has now got very excited, and this is due to the fact that it's on your quantum system, takes away that corruption offshore, and they are now expanding their access to these products, that being Bitcoin and Ethereum futures, these products under US regulated transparency and
a lot of good stuff.
Intermediary friendly environments. What does that tell me? That tells me, ladies and gentlemen, it's on the quantum system. You don't have to like it, but there it is. It's in plain black and white. The new structure
Richard
of the CBO's continuous futures of Bitcoin and Ethereum is designed to enable streamlined, efficient portfolios, and we are all investors, aren't we? And risk management in a controlled way. This is to gain leveraged exposure to digital assets. It's a very good article, ladies and gentlemen. If you are investing in currencies, and currencies, as I said, are gold and silver, not financial advice, but you need to consider what you're going to be doing post-RV, okay? But this is the new system. As I said, this is another confirmation, because people often ask, why are they mining Bitcoin and why is DJT following Bitcoin? There you have it. There's another confirmation. On January the 14th, of course, Hillary goes up for her deposition, but the Supreme Court ruling is going to be on the trade tariffs set for today. This one snuck underneath the radar. No one's focused on it because there's so many other things to focus on at the moment, isn't there? But listen, again, as investors, we need to watch this ruling. Why is that? Well, I'm saying it is the most important legal issue. It's the boundaries of the presidential authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which Trump applied. This law was in 1977. It was intended to do two things, ladies and gentlemen: to serve national emergencies, and second, to impose tariffs on imported products of various countries. Now, if that doesn't get your juices flowing, it's going to be a 100% bonza week this week, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this decision, this very important decision on the 14th, January the 14th, will influence the momentum, because the momentum then goes into January the 15th, where we start to see the implementation of our quantum system, that being digital assets that we've just talked about from the CBOE, into the continuing rollout of Iraq. Now we get into the RV stuff. Whoa, this is getting very, very interesting. This was a blitz. So back in December the 25th on Christmas Day, we did see a very interesting character that DJT spoke to from Iraq, and he was heading over to Iraq. What was he doing? Well, he was doing the testing, ladies and gentlemen, of the new blockchain-based transaction ledger. That's, of course, XRP ledger. Now, it begins and becomes fully implemented by February the 28th to align with the new rates on the Forex debut. I'm going to say nothing more about that, but I am going to say the severance will be paid by March the 15th to prevent any foreign interference post-revaluation. So this guy is talking about revaluation. Ladies and gentlemen, get very, very excited. And he's over there. That starts that blitz that they had between the 25th of December to the January the 15th is the testing phase. And my understanding, it gets implemented on January the 15th. Wow, wait for it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the same day as the Clarity Act. This, of course, is voted by the Senate on January the 15th. It's all lining up. I've never seen so many things lining up like this before. Ladies and gentlemen, the Clarity Act, of course, is voted by the Senate. This is a rule book aimed at killing the fake volumes, all the money laundering, all the wash trades, all the fake trades, and, of course, all the shady reserves that they say that they have, but they didn't have. That's, of course, your Basel III compliance, Basel IV compliance as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have one last review of the RV and what the requirements are. We spoke about this, of course, on the beautiful Holly show. So I'm going to go over them again. The RV requirements state the full reserve banking. This is, of course, the holding of the gold and the silver and other precious metals. We know that's occurring, so there's a green tick. Number 2, the country stability. This is why a lot of countries, such as we spoke about earlier in the show about Indonesia, Vietnam, and Iraq, are now all stable. Very exciting, plus other countries, of course, but those are the 3 that I wanted to bring to your attention. The trading platforms, well, we've just spoken about the CBOE and, of course, other trading platforms, because this was the integration of your quantum system from the trading platform from the central bank into your treasuries. Your treasury, of course, is your gold and your silver. And these mechanisms are now ready in play. We're now seeing that, especially coming out of Iraq, where they're talking about the 15th being that implementation. Number 4, we've seen quite a few articles this week or the last coming days from the IMF and the World Trade Organization. We've also seen many countries coming out and saying that they are aligning with the World Trade Organization or not having to use the loans from the IMF. This could only be possible for these countries such as Bulgaria and other African nations if they are going to have a revaluations, they can wipe out their loans. That's pretty exciting. So there's going to be some more articles with that as well. So keep an eye on those ones. Don't just skim through them. Have a little bit of a read. Get yourself familiarized with the importance of these RV requirements. Number 5 is the operational banking systems. This is why we talk about the ISO 222 messaging system, or they're talking about transforming into blockchain ledgers. That is a part of your operational banking systems. And that's why I'm very excited this evening regarding, of course, that being Iraq and him saying that this is what they're going to be doing connecting it to the Forex exchange platform, your trading platform. Number 6, of course, is debt restructuring. We just touched on that. As I said, many countries are now realigning their budgets. So I know budgets are not exactly exciting, but I just wanted to familiarize you with the reason the articles that are posted, sometimes people just skim through because they don't understand the importance of them. But these debt restructurings and these budgets are all part, ladies and gentlemen, of your revaluation requirements. And I can tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, this is have to be, I think, one of the biggest weeks we've had fundamentally in a very, very long time. And I am extremely, extremely excited this evening. I hope you can tell. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that's pretty much about it. I just want to make sure that all my notes are in alignment. Yes, they are. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, this is very, very exciting. Enjoy the next couple of days.
So that was Sunday, last night's short video, her Sunday night one. Okay, Billy is 12 minutes.
Was feeling unwelcome.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean Flash Update, January 12, 2026, time in Texas, about 2 p.m. So I'll give you a short update about what's going on around the world, and we wonder if the U.S. Post Office warning to its employees last Thursday night, be sure you carry your ID in case you're stopped by law enforcement, is a warning about an upcoming lockdown in the U.S. when the U.S. militarily engages Mexico. So that's going on. So let's get started. I have a short report about space weather. So January 10, we did have a CME, where 2 CMEs combined. It's called cannibal CMEs, that gave us a G2 geomagnetic storm January 10. This is January 12, and it's believed a low-level G1 geomagnetic storm continues from that January 10 event. Now we have today an M-class flare 3.3 that came off the sun and produced a CME. We would expect the impacts of that CME to come later, January 13 or 14. And we know when we have geomagnetic storms that we have communications impacted on Earth. This is going on in the economy. We have China continuing to try to destroy the U.S. economy. And in Shanghai this morning, silver went to $92 plus per ounce. China has stopped January 10 exporting physical silver from China, which constitutes 60% of all physical silver in the world. So people in the U.S. who've bought silver are left in the position of only holding paper, and it's unlikely they will ever receive their physical silver, which primarily comes from China. China, it's believed, is holding physical silver now and allocating it not for the silver dealers in China, but for the use by the Chinese military. So that's going on. And we have gold going up to $4,500 per ounce this morning. And we had on Friday President Trump putting forth through the DOJ a criminal investigation into Jerome Powell, head of the U.S. Fed, for some testimony he gave recently in Congress about the cost of a new building by the Fed. It was revealed that that cost factor exceeded what was publicly being put out by billions of dollars. The question to Powell was, what's up with this? Friday, because Powell refuses to lower interest rate per the request of President Trump, is now under criminal investigation. So that's going on. And we have this from BP Earthwatch. Yeah, we have something going on in space. We know with the International Space Station, we've heard one of the astronauts became ill. They were bringing them all home from the International Space Station. They were going to leave one American and 2 Russians on it. I submit most likely all of the astronauts are going to be coming down back to Earth from the International Space Station, which has apparently, it is aging. But I submit that there have been hits on the International Space System from what's going on in space. We know Atlas is still out there broadcasting radio signals. And we, the people in America and around the world, are not being told by our governments exactly what's going on. Now, Elon Musk will put a deorbiting type device into space to bring down the International Space System. It's being put forth by 2030. It's my thinking that this will be occurring much sooner rather than later. And it's being put forth, then the U.S. will put the money they had been paying out for the International Space System toward the U.S. building bases on the moon and Mars. I submit this. And millions of Americans and other people around the world know that the U.S. military and other militaries and governments have had bases on both the moon and Mars since about the 1960s. So that's going on. And we have this. Well, we have intel this morning that Mexican troops are bordering along the border of Mexico with the U.S. And I will say this, I live on the border. I live close to the coastline of Texas with the Gulf of America. And beginning last night, I heard planes flying over. That continues until today. So this intel is that Mexico, per the president of Mexico, Sheinbaum, has ordered the Mexican military to defend not the nation of Mexico, but the cartels. And intel reports Mexican troops are massing along the U.S. border.
Click and Clean Power Max breaks down dirt and grime 2 times faster.
Rejuvenate Clean is a powerful thing.
And the Mexican military is putting armored vehicles in Mexico City. It's believed that Mexico preps to engage in a military exchange with the U.S., as the U.S. will hit Mexican cartels. The Mexican military has been ordered to defend the cartels. And we know that during the Commie Dem JB regime, that it's new information is coming out that the Mexican cartels put inside the U.S. cartel militias, it's believed to number 22 million. And who is it who's juicing up all these protesters against the federal government, ICE, and so on? It's the same dim commie group, with money being put forth by Soros and other international nations who are trying to destroy America from within. So way to go, President Trump. We do need to begin to hit physically, militarily back against our enemies. We have this from Real Raw News, that in Venezuela, there's a militia group about 3,000 strong, led by a former Venezuelan military colonel, Marcial Orantes. The name of this group is Frente. And this group on Friday took over a Venezuelan television station, killed the anchor, and began to make public announcements about this Venezuela militia group putting out bounties on American citizens living in Caracas. It's believed there are 16,000 American citizens there, and the bounty amounts are between $2,500 and $10,000 per individual killed. That includes American citizens, any U.S. military still in Venezuela, and all of the U.S. CIA individuals still in Venezuela. With Iran, we have now multiple reports from both U.S. media plus Euronews and BBC stating that the number of Venezuelan citizens shot down in its streets by the Iranian military is 2,000 up to 10,000, and that Iranian citizens are being called to ID the bodies, but the Iranian government refuses to release the bodies for burial. That's because my thinking is because once the people in other areas of Iran would see the number of funerals taking place by allegedly killed by the Iranian military, that it would set off much more vigorous and larger protests across Iran. So the families are being denied the bodies of their loved ones. And we have this, that over the weekend, the leader of Iran, the Ayatollah, or possibly the President Pogoshian, made a call to President Trump to seek some type of resolution. So that's going on. It's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, a short one today. Second Q video, and then I'll do 2 Nick videos. Oh wait, I'm gonna play this lady here, these 2 ladies here. The short ones.
All these tech billionaires there's a reason for that, and I'm going to show you why. In the 1930s, there was this thing called the technocracy movement. It was a social movement active in the United States and Canada. This movement favored technocracy as a system of government over representative democracy and partisan politics. Just take a wild guess of who started this. This movement was called the North American Technate. This movement proposed a unified North America run by scientists and engineers. We know that Elon Musk has been talking about this as well. with his Mars colonization. But do you know who the leader of Technocracy Inc. was? It was this man right here. His name is Joshua Haldeman. He is the grandfather of Elon Musk. Now listen to this. Technocracy is the science of social engineering, the scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population of this continent. Technocracy will distribute by means of a certificate of distribution available to every citizen from birth to death. The technate will encompass the entire American continent from Panama to the North Pole because the natural resources and natural boundary of this area make it independent. I hope this is starting to click because this is the map of the North American technate where you see Greenland, Canada, the United States, Mexico, and Venezuela. That's not all. The technocratic movement planned to reform the work schedule to achieve the goal of uninterrupted production, maximizing efficiency and profitability of resources, transport, entertainment facilities, avoiding the weekend effect. Haven't we heard Trump talk about that? According to the movement's calculations, it would be enough that every citizen worked a cycle of 4 consecutive days, 4 hours a day, followed by 3 days off, which sounds good until you start really digging. Here comes the price system. It came up with energy certificates, which would have a table with the information of a citizen's identification, age, sex, occupation, location, energy allotment, and purchases made. And it would be called an energy distribution card. And here is what they proposed decades ago. And for some reason, the duality symbol's there. But you also see the chip. The universal identity card. And they have rules with these cards. There would be equal allotments of energy. Citizens cannot trade or give away certificates. They can only spend energy at verified vendors. Once a purchase is made at the vendor, the energy used is made void. And the certificates have an expiration date. Once again, no citizen can hoard energy. And certificates are directly tied to an individual's ID. Therefore, it cannot be stolen or used by someone else. From the outside, that would sound really good. Now, back then, the computer wasn't used much, but they wanted to use an energy certificate and Dewey Decimal System so that they could track computation. And IBM computers were exactly the kind of devices a CAS would want to deploy. Well, wouldn't you know, they have that now. But they knew that one of the big troubles with all of this is that your computers is going to do away with your accountants and your engineers. And it is also going to do away with your executives as well as blue collar and white collar jobs. So Elon Musk has come up with something for this. He predicts AI will create universal high income. It probably won't be income. It will be energy because our economy is about to crash. And that's probably the plan. So here comes Greenland. We'll probably have Venezuela soon, but Trump wants Greenland now too. Billionaires dream of building utopian techno city in Greenland, the Freedom City, because it will have minimal corporate regulation. They want to be able to do whatever they want to. They can focus on accelerating emerging technologies like AI and mini nuclear reactors. And the frigid climate could naturally cool the massive energy extensive AI data centers. Plus, large deposits of critical and rare earth materials buried beneath the island's ice sheets could also potentially be used to manufacture consumer electronics. America is destroying itself because of politics, and everybody is just letting this happen. We are literally watching them do this plan. Y'all remember when Trump said you don't have to vote anymore after this time? Well, if this plan works, there won't be politicians. Tech billionaires will own and run different parts of America.
But you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christian.
Do you see the plan? Elon's grandfather created it, and now Trump and him are going to implement it. They were talking about this plan decades ago. These Christians heard about it and wrote this book about it, pretty much saying that this is what was going to bring about prophecy, and it will one way or another. We read in Daniel that Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and it was about a statue, and the toes were the last kingdom, which would be the revived Roman Empire with 10 kingdoms. If we look at the Club of Rome's map, it's 10 kingdoms, pretty similar to Trump's plan. And Justin Trudeau said that he was going to step down. The next day, Trump calls saying that they should be the 51st state. Do you see it? This whole country is so divided, y'all can't even wake up to see what is actually happening. And when you do hear this kind of stuff, you just turn your head because you just don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe that every politician is the same. But the truth is, they all are working for one goal. If you are a Christian, you already know what is going to happen. There is not going to be a golden age. Take a look around. America looks like it's about to fall. And it's all by design to bring in this system. Put your hope and trust in Jesus Christ, not a man. Listen up.
That was a good one. She does a good job.
And all of that stuff.
3 minutes.
And I want you to know that I'm about to do it again. So buckle up, Buttercup. You've got free will. You can either, block me, or you're going to stay and watch this and get mad even further. So with the Renee thing, what I was trying to show you guys is how mainstream news media likes to take, a narrative, put lies in it, gaslight you, throw it out there to incite an emotional response so that you go out and probably follow ICE agents more or protest so that they can take away from all of the fraud that is happening in Minnesota. But I am thinking, why would moms and white liberal women follow ICE agents around? What is the appeal there, right? I know you guys think you're being heroes and all of that stuff, but I think that there's an underlying psychological need that you have that you might not want to actually admit to yourself. So I'm going to admit it for you. Now, before I say this, I have absolutely no background in psychology or anything like that. I just like to observe people and wonder why they're so stupid. And then I theorize ideas. And this is my theory on why a white liberal woman would want to put herself in the way of danger and, try and go against a man. And I think it's because you're all sexually frustrated. Yeah. So you have primitive needs as a woman, but your feminist programming doesn't allow that. So you don't know how to actually approach men because you were taught men bad, right? But at the same time, you're all bored and horny at home. Your husbands don't want to touch you, or they've completely left you, or you're married to a beta cuck who probably doesn't even get an erection anymore because you've demeaned him so much over the years that he probably doesn't even want to touch you, but it's cheaper to keep her. You know what I mean? So my theory is that most of you have read way too many romance books, or that movie, that Shades of Gray, or 50 Shades of Gray, and things like that. And I think you actually want to get tossed around by big burly men in uniform. I think you honestly have a sexual fantasy about dudes in uniforms who are big and burly, unlike your husbands who are soy boy cocks who sit in chairs and watch you get railed by also soy boy cocks. And you guys actually fantasize about that, because if you were a happy...
That was a bad one. Sorry about that one, you guys. She's normally a better one. That was a bad one.
Here, just stop. It's good. I like it. It helps me understand, and I'm going to keep watching it. But it also got me thinking that I hear a lot of stories from all the other disciples, from Matthew to Peter to Paul. But you don't hear much about Mary, and I often wonder what happened to Mary's story. Why didn't she get a story? Well, apparently she did, but it was removed from the traditional gospel that you have now throughout all the churches in Christianity. Why was it removed? I'd love to tell you. Because in the gospel, it positions Mary Magdalene as more of a primary spiritual authority, and that Jesus told her things that he didn't tell the other male disciples. And Peter didn't really like that, so he was challenging her legitimacy. Basically, Jesus was giving Mary private teachings that the male disciples could not grasp. It was not only a problem with the male disciples, but it was also a big problem for the churches that were being born out of this. Because the churches were structured around male hierarchy and apostolistic system. Predominantly, it was the Orthodox Christianity church that was getting started, and they are the ones that formally came out and dejected Mary Magdalene's teaching. To be really clear, the church did. And again, primarily it was the Orthodoxy churches, because they focused more on control, unity, authority, and who gets to speak for Jesus and when. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene threatened all of that. And it was really hard for people to grasp the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, because by the time it was formally written, there was already the 4 canonical Gospels that were circulating. And anything written after that had a really hard time catching fire. By this time, the church leaders, they were really pushing clear doctrines, uniform beliefs, bodily resurrection, and institutional authority. Anything that leaned mystical or inward was suspect. And that was all Mary Magdalene, because her gospel talked about inner knowledge, a soul's ascent, and less focus on sin, hell, or a physical resurrection. And that makes sense to me because even when I was going to church religiously and I was going through, when you talk about like the rapture, I never, ever saw it as a physical thing. Even as a kid, I didn't quite get it. But the way that I could understand it was that it was metaphorical. It was an inner thing. You're not going to just be zapped up to heaven. It's going to be an internal decision that you have to make, which will change your life outwardly. You're not going to go to mythical heaven. You're going to create a heaven within your own life here on earth. But at the end of the day, regardless of what my church thought, or regardless of them kicking me out, or regardless of what they had to say or what they believed, when I left or when they pushed me out, okay, my relationship with Jesus and God was fine. My relationship with church, however, completely severed. Because I always knew on some level I needed Jesus and I needed God in order to be able to continue on through all of the hard shit that has gone on in my life. And here I am, just living my best one. And I posted one of these videos talking about this gospel of Mary Magdalene to X, and oh my goodness, some of you guys got super fired up immediately with that's evil. But when I ask why it's evil, you say, well, because it's divisive. Was Mary Magdalene, who was one of Jesus Christ's disciples, she was divisive? Or was it the churches that removed it out of the gospel to begin with? Who created the division, right? It's heretic. And I'm not going to lie, I had to go look that word up. But who decided it was heretic? The church did. The church at the time, listen, I'm no feminist by any stretch of the word. I am not a feminist. But I can even recognize that there was a time in history where women were seen as less than, especially in the church. So to have a woman come out into your brand new Orthodox church that you're trying to create and say, hey, listen, I know you're trying to teach these people about fear and damnation and sin, but here's what Jesus told me. It makes sense why they wouldn't have added it in their doctrine. As if the church knew better than the disciple that actually followed Jesus. Mary Magdalene's gospel so far as deep as the research that I've got into it, makes more sense to me than anything that was taught to me by the Catholic Church. It's your relationship with Jesus Christ. That is what is important, not your relationship with the church, not how much tithing you give, not your relationship with your priests or your fathers. It's your relationship with Christ, and it starts in here, not out there. Thank you for coming to my sermon. I just got a video.
That was good. She does another good job. Did we do the second cue? I don't think we did.
Come more America first. They're more the establishment types. We have people who are still a little bit more on the libertarian side. Everybody's welcome to come on in. This is America first. But if I were to ask a question of each and every one of y'all, of the most important institution for Donald Trump to break into 1,000 pieces and to split it into the wind, we would probably have a dozen or more different answers. Donald Trump just went after the most important, the number one. I don't even know how I can possibly put this in a more, I don't know how I can be more specific about this. I'm excited. I can barely get my words out. But the most devious organization in the United States, Donald Trump just went after the unthinkable, and that is the Fed. The Federal Reserve. Now, for some of y'all understand where I'm going with this, but for some of y'all that haven't been around that long, you guys are wondering, what the heck? The Fed? Why would he go after the Federal Reserve? Because that's where it all starts, y'all. That's where all the corruption starts. Because this is an organization that has been lawless, that has used all sorts of quantitative easing and all sorts of evil maneuvering to enslave the poor and enrich the richer and to money launder around the world. But Donald Trump has said enough is enough. And wouldn't you know it, that the people who immediately came out in favor of Jerome Powell and the Fed were two Republicans that came out in defense and are actually trying to hold the Senate hostage now both Thune and also Murkowski saying that they are not going to approve any more Fed appointees until Donald Trump and the DOJ stops investigating and stops this against Jerome Powell. Now, the interesting part about this and what brought this about, and Donald Trump actually told Jerome Powell to his face that this was coming. So they were doing a renovation on the building there on the Fed building there in Washington, D.C. It was supposed to be $1.9 billion. Now, this was approved before Donald Trump got back into office, but $1.9 billion on a renovation. Guys, do you realize you could build a state-of-the-art football stadium for less money? We're not talking about building a new building. We're talking about renovating a building. $1.9 billion. But that wasn't enough, was it? They actually are now up over $2.5 billion. And of course, Donald Trump's like, I've been in construction all my life. How did you get it that wrong? How are you that far off? And Anna Paulina Luna got more in depth, and she said, wait a minute, I'm going through all this, and you guys have added all sorts of overruns. You guys have added all sorts of high-end finishes. You guys have just gone overboard with the people's money. All the while, he was telling Congress, Jerome Powell was, that everything was he didn't change anything. Everything was all in order. And that he wasn't sure. It was just taking a long time, but yeah, everything was on the up and up. I'm sorry. First and foremost, it doesn't take $1.9 billion to do a renovation on a building. And if it did, just knock the thing down and start over from scratch. Nextly, if you're going to do a renovation, you should at least be able to get it within, I don't know, $1 billion, but you're going to go over by $1 billion? Are you kidding me? Trump needs to break the Fed up and spread it in the wind. Comment, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
Okay, I got a short one again.
But not like this. For a long time, scientists thought that the East African volcanic ridge was the densest population of volcanoes on Earth. There are about 100 volcanoes just right there. But of course, that's not the record. Scientists have discovered the largest volcanic region on Earth in Antarctica, covered in up to 4 kilometers of ice, sometimes making them completely invisible. There are at least 138 volcanoes, and probably more, and they can get really big, up to 4,000 meters above sea level and 60 kilometers across, and they can erupt under the ice. And that happens, they create tunnels and cavities underneath the surface of the ice, and those can flood. There are hundreds of subglacial lakes and huge rivers under the ice. And then there are some truly huge ones like Mount Erebus that stick out above the ice. And this one's very active. Actually has a permanent lava lake in Antarctica. Good news is that the Antarctic ice sheet is like 30 million years old, and these volcanoes are millions of years old, so them erupting even under the ice isn't affecting the current melting of the ice sheet. The bad news is that the ice sheet is melting, and that release of pressure from above and around them will probably cause these volcanoes to be more exposed and more active. So that's, the largest concentration of volcanoes on Earth. There is a secret world under Antarctica, but not like this. For a long time, scientists thought that the East African volcanic ridge was the densest population.
Okay, so now I got Nick Shirley videos. I gotta see where I'm at here. 3, 2. Let's play the short ones first. Oh, they're all short. Okay, this is part 1 of 4. Yep, another good day. Yep, up to last night's show was good. A lot more people are coming in now. Four parts.
Works with all the migrants here. Her face is blurred because she can't show who she is. We don't want to put her job at risk. However, she's going to be telling us about what is going on here and how the migrants are being treated and what they're getting as far as Social Security, money, rent, anything like that. We're going to be talking about that. So what do you do here in New York City?
I am caseworker supervisor. I work with a nonprofit organization, basically case managing the migrants' lives, providing them with any resources, referrals that they need, whether it's legal assistance, benefits if they qualify, any of those sorts of help.
And what are you seeing on a day-to-day basis with how these migrants are being treated and what they're going through?
I mean, I realize that I get to see both sides of the world. I get to see how many of these migrants, a lot of them do come for the need of asylum. Some are just taking advantage of the system. However, I know at first the best services of the food, it depended on the shelter, honestly. Some of them got good food, other shelters did not. It was frozen food. They recently just updated the services, and it's a better food kind of quality for the migrants. But now, due to their legal status, if they get their asylum, they get their TPS, whatever type of legal document that supports them being able to stay here, now they're able to qualify for legal public assistance, meaning food stamps and cash assistance. So a lot of them are receiving those type of services from the government, especially a lot of them come here pregnant. So as soon as they birth an American child, they automatically qualify for those public benefits.
So a lot of them are receiving public benefits of the United States.
Yes.
And they're getting free money, free help from the tax dollars of the United States.
Food stamps and cash assistance. Now, we're hearing in the news that they're getting vouchers, they're getting paid to live a year upstate somewhere, a full year for free, right? So is this where our tax money is going? Like, I'm not, it's very difficult to say what America has turned to. Like, what about us, the people living here? What are you doing for us?
Mm-hmm. How much money do you think it costs per migrant just for a day?
Depending on where they are sheltered, because that's basically what it's based off. Some locations, I would say, range from like 3,000 to at most 7,000. I'll say, depending on where they are.
A day or?
I think it's a month per month.
Per month, each migrant is costing about $3,000 to $7,000 here in the United States. And do they have to do anything in exchange for what they're receiving as far as getting free food stamps? Do they have to work? Do they have to do anything?
Once they get the work permit, because that's the most how they get it, yes, they have to go find work, basically.
But before they're able to get it, do they have to do anything in return, or is it just free?
No, they did not. It's just services provided. It's free. But that's just how the system is set up. Because even us Americans can apply, but that's how the system is. The poor just keep getting all those benefits, And
I'm here with a case manager worker here in New York City that works with all the migrants here. Her face is blurred because she can't show who she is. We don't want to put her job at risk. However, she's going to be telling us.
That was part 1. Part 2.
Class and get free money, but it's like now these are migrants, so it's a free for all. I thought it was like, different aspects, different levels to it.
And how do you feel seeing all this corruption from what you've been seeing with your job?
There is a lot of corruption in the sense that the migrants have honestly now made the city completely, the dynamics of it, the demographics, everything just completely changed and swift in a way that America was not ever before. Now there's more violence in the streets. We don't know it. We cannot say it's due to them. Now mental health is out there. Our veterans, like there's just our people, our homeless people here. They do not receive the services that they should. They do not. All this money that is going out there that is being spent elsewhere could be spent in here with our people here, our mental health people here, our homeless, our veterans, our taxpayers, you know what I mean? And then, yes, we can definitely help some of these migrants, but is it to what extent? I do understand some of them do need the help. They are coming from a country of many violence, death, decapitation. I understand their journey coming here because I've heard a lot of experiences where they come through jungles and different paths, right? They see certain bodies. So it's like, it's difficult to really say who deserves it, right? And who doesn't. Now it's up to us Americans to decide that, I guess, whether it's voting, deciding to vote, see what this actually, do your research, educate yourselves, and figure out what will make America really great again.
And what percentage of migrants do you think are actually suffering that are coming here? Do you think the majority are actually suffering in their countries, or they just hear that, oh, it's a free pass, you get free money once you get to America, now is the time to come, the border's wide open?
So because of social media and everything going out there, and I've seen videos of migrants themselves saying it, because that's the system. Mm-hmm. Hey, I have a child here, an American child. I gave birth here. Guess what? She's a citizen. She gets birth certificate, social. She can qualify for public assistance. She's giving us $500 a month of food stamps, $140 monthly in cash assistance. And it's like, that's free money. Why not? Right? Wow, it's easy, I guess, now. So I don't know to what extent this is going to continue. I don't know what changes needs to be done, but we really need to just educate ourselves and do our research.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So people are just posting on social media now that basically now is the time to come to America. Basically. So the majority of the people that you work with that are claiming asylum, that are working for their papers, how many of them do you think?
And that's how the society stays, like they want.
Okay, that was part 2. Part 3. Eight o'clock again.
Are really in danger in their countries.
From a percentage, I would say from 1 to 100, a good 40 to 45 for the most part, based on my building itself. Now I can only imagine other different shelters, right? Maybe different. So it depends on the type of the country they came from. So some of them qualify for certain TPS, that's what it's called, temporary protective services. A lot of them are from Venezuela. That's one of the countries that I am aware of.
So what countries are flagged as like, okay, they're actually fleeing?
For the moment, the Venezuelans, because when we do the TPS referrals, it's for Venezuelans.
Okay, and is countries like Ecuador, Colombia, are they red flagged? Or?
So they can go and qualify for political asylum, and then they will be identified there depending on their supporting documents as to why they had to flee.
Oh, okay. So that's how the process works. They have to then present themselves eventually to a judge after claiming asylum.
Yes, they have to.
Before that, do they have to come talk to somebody like you to prepare their case? Or?
If they are lucky enough to have a provider take over that specific shelter. Sometimes they do have workers there that may help them, but not everything is a word to mouth. So they hear other people talk. So it's, if one place says this, because I do remember when we first opened up, we had people from clients from other shelters come to our shelter asking for help, but we could not service them because we were only focusing on our, the building was bought for only that specific building.
Mm-hmm. And with all the people that are coming here into the United States, and with the elections coming up in 2024, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to see some riots from migrants? For example, if the Make America Great guy gets back in, do you think you're going to see riots from migrants that aren't trying to get deported again?
So we're going to see a lot of anything. We don't know what to expect, right? Honestly, I feel like if Americans decide to stand up, we will see that riot, right? We did stand up for what was going off in the Middle East and, out there. I do see a little more social movements going on, but it's honestly up to us. What are we deciding to do? Now, if, next 2024, there's a shift in who becomes president, then we just need to see what will happen. They may create a lot of riot because a lot of them won't qualify and they will be deported. Some of them will be able to stay because they have their work permit and social, and they have temporary protective status. So it's going to be a battle.
Either way, we'll be expecting chaos pretty much.
Basically, in any aspect. So it depends on us Americans. What are we going to do?
So on top of all this that's going on, a lot of these migrants are also receiving these Social Security cards. And how are they getting Social Security? If they're here, are really fleeing.
Okay, last part 4.
A referral to legal services. As soon as they come in through the border, their immigration papers all have a pro bono legal service. They just have to call. Obviously, the high volume, it's massive. Like, it's very difficult to reach somebody to receive assistance now. Like I mentioned, if a nonprofit organization takes over, now they have caseworkers, then they can provide them with other referrals and outside community services, offices, agencies that help them apply for those type of Social Security and work permits.
And they get that Social Security. And what do you think the end goal is with them getting Social Security?
The end is to stay here. Some of them do find jobs, some of them don't, because they know they're just getting free money from the government.
And with these Social Security cards, will they be able to vote in the elections?
Yes, they will. They will be able to vote.
And are you seeing a big push of these migrants getting these Social Security cards so they can vote come November?
I do definitely see that. I have seen many influencers speak about that, and I never thought about that in a way. And then honestly, seeing more of that really opened my mind and really do a little more research. And I'm like, it's honestly wide opening that how much they're pushing this, and I never thought about it because of the elections. So now I just want to see how everything will play out.
Wow. And at the end of the day, do you think the reason why they haven't stopped people from coming into the country is for these elections, that by the time that it gets to time of November, in election time, they'll have 2 million, up to 8 million new voters. And most of these people are most likely going to be voting for the person that's keeping them here in the country.
That's definitely a possibility, definitely. But then I also see a lot of us now seeing a change. So the ones of us that can vote, I know myself, and I am sadly to say I've never voted even when I was in college. And I just, because I'm a migrant myself, right? I came here when I was 5 years old, but we never received these type of help back then as compared to how these migrants are receiving so much services now. But I received my papers not so recently, so now I'm a citizen for the U.S.
Hands off
And
tonight,
the way America has been, it has not been as bad, but now the change, I definitely see it. And with all the voting that's about to happen, I'm definitely going to vote this year because I've definitely educated myself and I've opened myself to a possibility of, if I want to make a change, we need to speak up. Because if we do not, then how is anything going to change? How? Nothing's going to happen. Because we're not speaking up, we're not saying anything, we're not taking action. That's the problem. If we do not take action, we're not gonna make that change.
After doing some research illegally, how do they get Social Security?
Okay, that was a good 4-parter from Nick Shirley there. Now I'll do a couple of the lady from TikTok, and then we got 2 Nick videos. Then 2 hours be 8 o'clock. There's you go.
Robes. Trump came armed with a bold, chilling message, and his counterpart felt every second of it. When the cameras were rolling and the American press took their swing, the reaction from Russia's leader says it all. No words needed. I've got the pageantry, the plays, and where the talk stands right now.
Oh, I play that one. Oh, what happened on that?
Putin's facial expressions in this say it all. I've watched this like 5 times. He almost looked to say, understand now my podcast.
Oh, I guess I gotta find the other 2. She doesn't normally have music on.
impactful decisions
one
that they've
is
ever made. And Trump
Ted.
is on True Social right now saying that if the Supreme Court rules against the United States in what he calls a national security bonanza, then we are all screwed. Now, that sounds pretty scary if I do say so myself. So what are we talking about here? Well, the SCOTUS is expected to weigh in on whether or not the president has the authority to use broad, across-the-board tariffs under the IEEPA, which is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Now, in this video, I want to talk about exactly what Trump said, what the stakes are here, and the potential fallout if things don't go according to plan, and what the president could do next if the Supreme Court decides that these tariffs were not actually lawful. This is going to be a massively historic decision and have huge impact no matter which way they decide to rule, because if they rule that the president does have this power, then that's an absolute green light for the president, and it's going to accelerate his agenda like never before. On the other hand, if the Supreme Court decides to rule against the president, we're talking about refunding hundreds of billions of dollars, all of the investments that the president's been able to secure with the power of tariffs, all of that's going to be undone. We're talking about cataclysmic effects and impacts if they decide that he doesn't have this power. And ultimately, I just want to give a rundown of everything that's going on and get everybody up to speed so we know what's coming down the pipeline. Now, before we get into this, be sure to like the video and subscribe. And if you want to save a ton of money at mypillow.com, go to mypillow.com/Nick, and you can save up to 66% off the best sleep products in the world. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and pull up Trump's truth and read exactly what he had to say, and then we'll dive deeper into it. So Trump says the actual numbers that we would have to pay back if for any reason the Supreme Court were to rule against the United States of America on tariffs would be many hundreds of billions of dollars. And that doesn't include the amount of payback that countries and companies would require for the investments they are making on building plants, factories, and equipment for the purpose of being able to avoid the payment of tariffs. When these investments are added, we are talking about trillions of dollars. It would be a complete mess and almost impossible for our country to pay. Anybody who says that it can be quickly and easily done would be making a false, inaccurate, or totally misunderstood answer to this very large and complex question. It may not be possible, but if it were, it would be dollars that would be so large that it would take many years to figure out what number we are talking about and even who, when, and where to pay. Remember, when America shines brightly, the world shines brightly. In other words, if the Supreme Court rules against the United States of America on this national security bonanza, we are screwed. President Donald J. Trump. Now, I mean, he makes a very solid, concise argument for just how catastrophic this could be. Okay, because if the court rules against the administration, this means the government is going to have to refund hundreds of billions of dollars in duties collected since the tariffs were implemented. Now, several justices, including Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Sotomayor, they pointed out that tariffs are essentially taxes, and that's the argument from the left-wing point of view. And the Constitution, they say the power to tax belongs to Congress. Now, the liberal justices are expected to rule, obviously, against the tariffs. The conservative majority, however, is divided. You have Justice Thomas, Kavanaugh, and Alito. They seem a little bit open to the idea that, the tariffs fall under a matter of national security, and therefore we don't want to limit the president's power to use tariffs as a means of protecting national security. And there's a very strong argument to be made about how tariffs are a matter of national security, and limiting this power from the president would put us in a national security crisis. For instance, like the fact that China controls 90% of the world's rare earth minerals, and every single F-35 fighter jet requires like 900 pounds of rare earth minerals. And that leaves us very vulnerable because China could one day decide to cut off the supply. But if we have the ability to tariff China, then we could create massive pressure to get them to ease supply chains and make it so that we can continue to manufacture F-35s at a reasonable cost. And the president is arguing that these type of examples are why the president needs the ability to take swift and decisive actions when necessary to protect our national security. Now, the Democrats and the liberal Supreme Court justices at SCOTUS, they don't want the president to have this power. They want that power to be limited to Congress. So therefore, if we had an immediate national security emergency, it would require an act of Congress to do something about it if they had their way. And that is why I think it is absolutely essential that the president maintains this power and that the Supreme Court rules that the president can use tariffs under the IEEPA. And everything right now kind of hangs in the balance of the conservative justices at the Supreme Court, and we don't know which way they're going to go. They seem open to the idea that it's a matter of national security, but nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. But we have to understand that there is a massive crisis on our hands right now in the Supreme Court's docket, and the decision is coming soon. If they decide that the president doesn't have these powers, it means that the tariffs were implemented unlawfully, which means you have to reverse everything that's already been done. And some of that stuff can't even be undone. I mean, for example, you had some consumer goods, the prices went up, and the companies passed it on to the consumer, so the consumer paid the higher price. But then if we're going to reverse the tariffs, then you're going to have to refund that money to the companies, even though they never paid that extra cost. They passed it on to the consumer. So do you give the money to the consumer or do you give the money to the company? Not to mention the supply chain shock. Trump has been using tariffs as a means of leverage to get companies to pull out of China and diversify, and pulling manufacturing back to the U.S. There's plants that are set to open up and manufacturing.
When you're the one they're counting on, you need agentic AI that helps you go further.
Summer camp at Woodward, where play gets sweaty, sketchy, and real, where coaches push courage, not
plants are set to open up here in the United States. Now, all of a sudden, you lose all your leverage. And again, it becomes cheaper to manufacture back in China. The exporters regain access to cheap manufacturing with zero concessions, and essentially domestic manufacturers suffer. And as Trump addressed in his post, he's been able to secure trillions of dollars in U.S. investment with the leverage of tariffs. So the Supreme Court is causing trillions of dollars to pour out of the United States and back into the hands of these countries because Trump essentially lost all of his negotiation power overnight. Now, people have tried to quell people's concerns by saying that, okay, well, it doesn't really matter because the president has other emergency powers that he can use besides the IEEPA, like Section 232 for national security or Section 301 for unfair trade. He can pivot to a different emergency power to continue to do the same thing. But the problem is that even if that is the case, which there's a strong argument for why he could just do that, shifting to a new law wouldn't help him avoid refunding all that old money that was collected. Because if the Supreme Court decides that the IEEPA does not apply here, then effectively all that money was collected illegally according to the Supreme Court. So sure, he could switch to a different emergency power and continue to charge tariffs going forward, but that wouldn't change the fact that all that money has to be refunded. The only real way to avert this crisis would be for Congress to step in and pass a law saying we officially authorize the president to use IEEPA powers to tariff and that it applies retroactively to everything that was done in the past. That would be the only way to avert this massive crisis. But do you really think that the Republicans are going to do that when a lot of them have come out and said that essentially the president is undercutting Congress and using tariffs as a form of tax, which is an act of Congress? Absolutely not. There's a snowball's chance in hell that they're going to actually do that. So-called Republicans like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie would rather see the economy collapse, the markets collapse, China bounce back like never before, than to affirm that the president does in fact have this power. And therefore, it really all hangs in the balance of the conservative justices at the Supreme Court. In a matter of days, we're either going to see massive money roll into different market sectors that's been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for a decision to come out, and the market surge like never before, or we are going to have a massive national security crisis on our hands the markets are going to tank. Manufacturing is going to start pulling out of the United States. China's going to rebound like never before. And we're going to lose billions, if not trillions of dollars overnight. So, ladies and gentlemen, my intention with making this video was essentially just to keep.
Okay, another video. Good one from Nick there. I got one from another lady from talking to ICE or something in New York. Let's see here. I don't know if anybody saw this one.
Keep up the amazing work.
We will. We're not stopping.
How you feeling? How's morale amongst the guys?
It doesn't get better than this. That tight late mission is so important for the country, and it's game on, guys.
Oh yeah. Got this. Keep doing it. Y'all better feel all those tanks of gas, so we not gonna stop.
13 minutes.
No, exacto. No venga.
I don't want to hear this.
Boy. So we got to talk about super based Border Patrol Commander Chief Greg Bavino, who has been at the forefront. He's been on the ground with his guys, right, with ICE agents, enforcing the law, enforcing federal law. And this guy is the architect of everything that we're saying, right? Everything that leftists are boohoo-whining and crying about. I guess you can say that this guy, along with Tom Homan, they're responsible for. And because of that, this guy is quickly becoming public enemy number one. Okay, just look at the hate and vitriol that he has been receiving on the ground. Again, as he's with his team, right, with his guys, dragging his balls all over these liberal cities.
I don't like this guy. Sorry about that one, you guys. I'm going to play Cash, and then I'm going to get to Cash videos.
I'm done letting liars twist my words. Let's settle this now. Good afternoon, America. I'm going to speak plainly because at this point, I am beyond done with the lies, the distortions, and the pathetic political theater being blasted across the internet. People are accusing me, Emmy, of hiding the Epstein files, protecting elites, lying under oath, and burying evidence. And let me tell you something. I am furious, absolutely furious, because these claims aren't just wrong. They are deliberately, maliciously fabricated by people who want attention, not truth. Let's start right here. I never lied to Congress. I never protected any predator. And I never, ever buried evidence to shield anyone. You know what I did do? I followed the law. I protected victims. I refused to break federal statutes just because some politician wanted a 20-second clip for Twitter. But now I'm being painted as the villain? Give me a break. These people KNEW the truth. They knew what grand jury laws require. They KNEW what can and cannot legally be released. And they still twisted my testimony into a circus of lies. Why? Because rage bait gets clicks. Because smearing the FBI director brings headlines. Because attacking me is easier than understanding the law. They're out here shouting, why won't he release all the Epstein files? What is he hiding? You know what I'm hiding? Victims' private statements, identities of minors, legally protected grand jury evidence, things that NO director, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whoever is allowed to dump online. But they don't care because this isn't about truth. It's about drama. And now they're trying to claim I said there was no credible evidence that Epstein trafficked anyone else. Absolutely false. I said there wasn't enough legally corroborated evidence to prosecute additional individuals, not that victims don't exist, not that allegations are fake, and not that the FBI doesn't take this seriously. But do you think they care about the difference? Of course not. They chop up a sentence, rip away the context, and scream, look, has protecting elites. No, you're lying, and you are the ones protecting predators by turning victims' trauma into political content. If you actually cared, you wouldn't weaponize their stories. You wouldn't demand that I violate the law. You wouldn't twist my testimony into clickbait garbage. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. Following the law is not a cover-up. Protecting victims is not a cover-up. Refusing to leak protected evidence is not a cover-up. I will not apologize for doing my job with integrity. I will not break the law to satisfy conspiracy bait influencers. And I will not let dishonest actors rewrite what actually happened. So let this be clear. I'm not the one hiding anything. I'm the one holding the line while politicians and internet clout chasers try to tear it down. If you're looking for someone to blame because the truth makes you uncomfortable, look in the mirror, not at the man following the law you clearly never bothered to read. You want the truth?
Okay, Cash. I got 2 short ones, and the last 2 we'll play Cash. I don't know if anyone saw this one.
By having babies on U.S. soil, then acting shocked when Americans notice the incentive. Because here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. This isn't always some random accident of life. For a lot of people, it's a strategy, a plan, a loophole, and before the comment section starts hyperventilating, yes, babies are innocent, obviously, but adults make choices, and governments set incentives, and incentives shape behavior. So let's break it down. If you enter the U.S. illegally, you already know you're not supposed to be here, but if you have a baby here, that baby becomes a U.S. citizen. Now, does that automatically make the parents legal? No, but what it does do is create a pressure campaign, because now every enforcement conversation turns into, are you really going to deport the parents of an American child? Are you really going to separate a family? Are you really going to do this to a citizen? And just like that, the conversation stops being about the law and becomes about emotions. That's the game. But here's what they never say in that emotional little script. There are expatriates all over the world. Millions of people live outside their country of citizenship every single day. So the idea that a U.S. citizen child is somehow doomed if the parents go back home, please, a U.S. citizen child born here can go with their parents back to their country of origin and live there as an expatriate. They can grow up there with their family. They can be safe. They can go to school. They can have a normal life. And when they're old enough, that child can travel back and forth freely. They can visit. They can study. They can work. They can come back to the U.S. on their U.S. passport. So let's stop pretending the only humane option is letting the parents stay illegally forever, because that's not compassion, that's surrender. And if you think this doesn't incentivize illegal immigration, you're either naive or you're lying, because the U.S. is one of the few countries on earth that hands out citizenship like this based purely on location. Not legal status, not assimilation, not commitment, not anything. So yes, people will come here, have babies, and then use that baby citizenship as a shield. Not because they love America so much, but because they understand how America's guilt works. And here's the part that's going to make some folks mad. This isn't anti-immigrant. This is anti-scam. Legal immigrants wait. They pay. They follow rules. They do paperwork. They do interviews. They do background checks. They do it the right way. So why are we rewarding the people who cut the line and calling everyone else racist for noticing? A country without borders is not a country. And a country that rewards illegal entry with permanent leverage is basically begging to be exploited. So here's the real question. Are we going to be a nation of laws or a nation of loopholes? Because right now, we're not just tolerating the game. We're funding it, defending it, and shaming anyone who calls it what it is.
I might have played it.
Make drop. If you have to use a baby as your legal strategy, you already know you're in the wrong. Let's talk about how illegal immigrants.
So the last 2 are the wild old Cash videos. Minutes on the first one.
We are locked and loaded and ready to go.
So as protesters storm Iran's capital, it looks like the entire country is slated for collapse, because the capture of Venezuela's dictator means Iran's radical leaders have just lost their lifeline, as their partner in crime is no longer around to help them launder money, fund extremist groups, and evade U.S. sanctions. Meanwhile, President Trump says America is ready to defend Iranian protesters if their government tries anything.
Tonight, tense clashes between protesters and security forces in Iran. The demonstrations have been escalating for days, sparked by worsening economic conditions in the country.
The violent protests forced a government shutdown in 21 provinces as protests spread over skyrocketing prices and economic collapse. The protests are the largest in Iran since 2022.
I was told last summer that if the president struck the Iranian nuclear program, the consequences would be World War III and the consolidation of support for the Iranian regime within Iran. Obviously, the opposite essentially in both cases has come to pass.
Cost of living is high, inflation is soaring, and Iran's currency recently crashed to a record low against the dollar.
He means it. And he means what he says here. I think he understands that the people there are going to be a target. I think he understands that we have the upper hand on oil. And the president of the United States of America has been crystal clear. You don't mess with him. When he tells you there's a red line, he means it.
Together, we are strong. Corewell Health. We can.
So as protests rock Iran, the connection between that nation and Venezuela cannot be understated. And what nobody's talking about is the capture of Venezuela's dictator now means other dictatorships that used to cooperate with his may soon collapse as well. And Iran especially is in a tough spot because the protests rocking its capital started before the U.S. moved on Maduro, removing the dear leader from his bedroom at 2 a.m. and placing him in a New York City jail before he even knew what time it was. An event that spells bad news for Iran's dictatorship and supreme leader, who just lost their strategic partner with whom they evaded U.S. sanctions on their corrupt economies and helped train and fund dangerous groups. And here's how that worked. Failing communist Venezuela always runs out of gasoline because they can't seem to refine their own oil, which just spurts out of the ground. Oil which they were shipping across the world to Iran, who would keep some of it as payment and then send the rest back to Venezuela as refined fuel. On top of that, Venezuela was funding various Iranian groups who commit crime, launder money, and exploit the U.S. border, and some of Venezuela's islands were even bases for Iranian military activities, which supported all of the above right on America's doorstep. But as you're about to see, the most frightening thing for Iran's leaders isn't happening in their country where the protests are taking place. No, instead it's happening all over the Western Hemisphere.
Poco que sienta en este momento. Esto no tiene comparación. Gracias, Dios mío. Gracias, Dios. Me arrodillé y lloré en mi casa.
Mucha emoción. El ambiente es impresionante
Venezuelans all over the world are celebrating the fall of Nicolas Maduro, an alleged cartel leader and one of the most dangerous dictators to ever walk the earth. And that's terrifying for the leaders of Iran, who are now wondering if they could suddenly find themselves removed from power in ways they don't even think are possible.
Good night. Good night. Happy New Year.
Maduro didn't think this was possible, and up until he was extracted from his bedroom by armed Marines, he was threatening America, said he's not going anywhere. President Trump even called him and said, listen, you should leave Venezuela. You should protect your family. And he ignored that. And now he's in federal custody. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And this is something the protesters in Iran are no doubt watching as they take to the streets to secure their country before it collapses completely, with hyperinflation destroying their economy, leading to food and energy price increases Joe Biden and America's Socialist Democrat Party could only dream of creating. And things are so bad in the country right now that Iran may fall in weeks or even in the next few days.
The demonstrations have been escalating for days, sparked by worsening economic conditions in the country. Cost of living is high, inflation is soaring, and Iran's currency recently crashed to a record low against the dollar. This video shows a protester sitting in the street, appearing to defy officers, leading some online to draw comparisons to this image from Tiananmen Square. Well, in Tehran, a number of shopkeepers closed their doors in protest earlier this week. They appear to be the biggest demonstrations in the country since 2022, when mass protests erupted over the death of Mahsa Amini after she was arrested for not properly wearing a hijab.
So everything's collapsing in Iran at the exact same time. The currency's becoming worthless. People are struggling to buy food. Businesses can't sell anything because the currency every single day is just completely worthless. And the civil rights of common people don't exist. It's all coming down at once. And it was all propped up because Iran had willing partners like Venezuela that helped them stay in business. And ask yourself, why are business owners shutting their doors? Simple. Inflation's so terrible, they can't sell anything to anyone today and not have lost money tomorrow if they sold to somebody else. Now, U.S. sanctions on countries like Iran are a big player in this, yes, as they're effectively cut off from the global marketplace, as they should be, with their corrupt government funding the worst of the worst, gangs, cartels, militant groups. But this is why their relationship with Venezuela was so important. You see, Venezuela's doing the exact same stuff. It's on America's doorstep. They're also an energy-rich country with an oil industry, but now Venezuela's gone and Iran can't team up with anyone to stay open any longer, and these protests are threatening to take down the whole place. Protests America's enemies inside America itself are reacting to in the most predictable of ways.
A lot of the policies that we have put in place has kind of helped lead the devastation in Venezuela, and we've sort of set the stage for where we are arriving today. This particular bullying and the use of sanctions to eventually intervene and make regime change really does not help the people of countries like Venezuela, and it certainly does not help. And it's not in the interest of the United States.
Right. So according to Representative Omar, if there's a despotic dictatorship out there that is starving its own people and taking away all of their rights and ruling them with an iron fist, it's actually the United States' fault if we're trying to shut down that government peacefully and things get worse in that country because of that government. No, it's not the fault of the evil people running places like Venezuela and Iran. No, it's the fault of the United States. This view is fundamentally wrong. And as we just saw with Venezuela, the United States is not looking for regime change, rather just replacement of a criminal who found themselves in power with somebody who actually wants to benefit the people of that country. On top of that, you can't let a hostile foreign nation that funds groups which hate America exist right on the country's doorstep. This is bad news. On top of that, if you listen to people who dislike America and want to see America fail, even if they're elected representatives in America, you've got to admit, everybody has to admit, the entire world has admitted that Iran and Venezuela were just way better off 50 years ago than they are today. Here we are acting like these places are perfect and Trump should leave them alone when they're just getting worse every single year.
Iran has gone from being an amazing country with great capabilities to a state where people don't have money for bread.
Right.
She said Iranians have been crying out for help for a long time.
Since 2016, I'd like to say, I've been receiving messages all the time from Iranians who are asking Israel's support to eliminate this regime. Do I think that it should be someone else's job? No. Do I think that we can support and be the voice of support to those people? Yes.
The Iranian president blamed the current economic crisis on an ongoing war with Iran's enemies.
Right now, the enemy has placed most of...
Right. So Iran's out there starting wars, funding the wrong people, supporting the wrong groups, doing it while helping countries like Venezuela evade sanctions that are designed to cripple these governments and get them to transition peacefully. Nope, they're digging in their heels. They're out there doing all that. But, oh, it's America's fault. Yeah, things were better a long time ago, but Trump, it's his fault. He's the one making things worse, even though things have progressively gotten worse, worth less, I was going to say, in these despotic regimes during multitudes of U.S. presidents. Things have not been trending in the right direction for a long time. And to be honest with you, this makes it pretty clear why so many of America's haters and the leaders of various countries around the world are so upset right now because to those who instigate these countries, they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They don't think they're doing anything wrong by funding these wicked groups. They don't think they're doing anything wrong by being sanctuary nations for criminals or for the wrong individuals, even though those are the very groups that make the people of these countries suffer incredibly with state-sponsored help from these regimes.
The enemy has placed most of its hopes on knocking us down through economic pressure. You
Right,
cannot
which would
conquer
be
a nation
peaceful.
with bombs, fighter jets, or missiles. To defeat us, they would have to come and face us on the ground.
And they might not
The
have to.
protests come after a report from Iran International on Sunday that Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is developing chemical and biological warheads
wow,
for its
wonderful.
ballistic missiles. Israeli
Great.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discussed the possibility of a second strike on Iran this year in his meeting with President Trump in Mar-a-Lago, Florida.
You know what's crazy? Everybody was told that the first strike on Iran was going to be the end of America, because what was this going to do? If Trump went in there and got rid of their nuclear facilities, which they were allegedly going to use for less than peaceful purposes, we were all told, oh, if Trump does that, the country's going to rally around its regime. They're going to tell people that they're being attacked, that their way of life is in danger. But the opposite of that has happened. The people in Iran right now see that their life is in danger. They see whose fault it is. They're not stupid people. That's why they're protesting. They were not manipulated, as our media told us was going to happen. They didn't wake up one morning and say, oh, gee, Trump just attacked Iran. I guess we should all start hating on Trump now. No, they understand that they are being ruled by a group of people who want to maintain power at all costs and aren't necessarily operating in a manner that helps anybody in that country get ahead. That's why they got hyperinflation right now. That's why they got food shortages. That's why businesses, poor business owners that are trying to get ahead and be industrious just can't seem to do it. They can't even sell things. So what do? They shut down. Meanwhile, the protests happening in Iran are happening over the number one issue America's rising socialists and communists say everybody should care about. But for some reason, they don't support these protesters, and they certainly don't want to see Trump help them.
Now, what is this all about? Well, you mentioned a couple of points in your introduction. The first one is the fall in the value of the rial, the currency of Iran, which has gone spiraling downwards compared to the US dollar. Here are a few facts for you. Back in July 2015, it was 32,000 rial to $1. Today, it's 1.42 million rial to $1 US, which basically means for each dollar's worth of goods that's bought into the country, there's been this massive increase in the cost in rial, which means people just can't afford to buy anything. They can't even afford a phone cover in plastic, which you or I will be able to buy for next to nothing here.
Yeah, right. Like, this is hyperinflation. And what do you think would happen in your neighborhood if every business just locked its doors and shut down and people took to the streets? I mean, that is the very definition of civil unrest. And everybody who would have shopped at those places has no choice but to look out in the street and see what's going on. I mean, that's why these protests are so massive. The economy has ceased to function, and inflation is destroying this economy. There's no reason for anyone to do business today if doing business tomorrow means you just lost money yesterday. People are going to hold what they've got and hope that things improve before they reopen, which is essentially a doom loop for an economy. Hyperinflation is a doom loop, and it's happening right here. And when hyperinflation happens, things change quickly for those in power.
And the situation is getting out of control. So that's the first point. The second point, if that wasn't bad enough, is that inflation is also high in Iran, 42.2% overall, 72% for food and going up, and the same for medical items at 50%, according to the Iranian.
You would think that the party of socialism in America would be totally behind these protests, because what are they rallying over? Affordability. Look at 72% more expensive when you go to the grocery store. That sounds like we need a Zoran Mamdani government-run grocery store, doesn't it? Wouldn't that come into Iran and fix everything? How come we're not trying to help these people? Why isn't America united on this? Because the parties out there that dislike America, both inside of it and outside of it, they don't want to see success if it doesn't come from them. All they want to do is be the anti-party. Anything that Trump wants to do, oh, no, that's a bad idea. You want to go to Venezuela? You want to get rid of a dangerous dictator who hurts his own people and helps America's enemies prop up their own regimes? No, don't do that. Bad move. Venezuela, great place. You know what's so crazy? We're hearing now from all of the people who told us we needed a wide open border in America that we needed it because countries like Venezuela were so terrible. Everybody who's there should just be allowed to come here and live in America. And now that Venezuela is about to be safer, no, bad move. Don't do it. It's like they would rather have people be refugees in America forever and live here illegally than get to go back to their home country, which, by the way, now that it's gone, is such a problem for Iran. Iran, all of these protests over there, these recently started when heat was turned up on Venezuela. These recently started when things started getting worse over there. Yes, they've started again. There have been protests in the past, but now things are in a real trouble spot because Iran can't evade U.S. sanctions without the help of countries like Venezuela. They can't launder money without the help of that regime. That regime is gone. Cuba's also on notice, by the way.
State Statistics Center, which all in all, according to economists, is approaching hyperinflation in Iran. So all of these factors brought together have meant that people are fed up with the situation. They want the regime to do something about it. They say officials have offered no support so far.
Yeah, they can't.
They also fear that there could be tax increases.
They don't know what to
March at the start of the Iranian New Year, because the fall of oil revenue is very important. And so the only way out of this is for the regime to put up taxes, which of course they say they will.
Oh! Right there, the fall of oil revenue. Now, Iran is under sanctions, so they're not even supposed to be out there selling their oil. It's difficult for them to do that, and that was one of the main ways they evaded sanctions was with the help of Venezuela. Venezuela really helped Iran with their oil industry, didn't it? If Venezuela is going to take one of their tankers, send it across.
Okay, I think 19 minutes was enough. It was 20 minutes, but we were off by a minute. I guess we'll play his short ones. Those long ones are too much. So we'll play the last one on.
Not. You! I said give me a drink! I can't give you a drink, man.
22 minutes.
Want to do? This is not what you want to do. This is not what you want to do. I'm telling you right now, this is not what you want to do.
Hey, you guys, welcome back into my second channel. Today, we are taking a look at public freakouts that are so completely unhinged, you're going to wonder how these people actually made it out of the house without a handler. Grocery stores, parking lots, sidewalks, nowhere is safe when main character syndrome meets zero self-control.
Shiloh, get over here.
Well, now we all have the license plate.
No, he's gonna crash. That's on him. Well, he hit that guy though.
Is it going to be about the homeless people situation?
Yeah, people are sleeping here.
Yeah, people are sleeping here. I understand, but I've talked to them. They're totally okay with it. Have you talked to them?
It doesn't matter. Some people are too polite to say no. We have the luxury of going back to our dorm and going to sleep. People are sleeping here, and it's 10 p.m.
Bro, this is so tone deaf, bro.
People are trying to sleep.
It's 10 o'clock. It's Saturday night.
It's 10 p.m.
Yeah, it's a public park.
Some people don't have the luxury to have fun. Some people need to sleep. And think about that when you guys are sleeping on the 12th floor of your dorm.
Let's continue.
Let's go! 89 years old.
So why are you following me?
Because you cut me off 4 times.
Did nobody cut you off?
Oh, you're full of
Who cut you off?
You did.
I made an illegal left-hand turn from my left lane.
No.
Why are you following me? You followed me like 4 miles now. What are you doing?
I'm following.
Yeah, you're following me. Say it.
Yes, I'm following you to see what an asshole you really are.
Oh,
and
you must hurt your feelings. Must really hurt your feelings, isn't
You
it?
are an asshole.
Say it again.
You're an asshole.
So, an old lady, such a mouth on you.
Such a mouth on.
What's your name? What's your name?
It's none of your business.
It must be. It must be. I'm gonna back up and get your license plate before I leave.
Go ahead, I'll give it to you.
Say it. You don't even know it. Back in your car, old lady. Oh, did you? That's assault right there.
Is that to take your goddamn
No, to touch me. I'm so glad you. Yes, you
Yes.
did. I am so glad you did
I
that.
didn't hit you in the face, you ugly.
Go ahead. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Asshole.
You old people are like losing your minds lately.
I'm losing my mind.
You clearly are.
Assholes are losing
Look at you.
their mind.
Look at you. You're gonna give yourself a stroke, old lady.
You know what? I'd give you a hit in the head, you dumb mother.
Wow, these verbal threats.
Oh,
You old people today.
Yes, I'm an old.
You follow me all the way around here. You want to follow me to my lawyer's office? Hey, keep following me. We're pulling to my lawyer's office right now. You can talk to him. Let's go. Follow me to my lawyer's office right now, you psycho.
All right, show them dress.
Just calm down. Calm down. Calm down.
Place. You got it. Keep arguing.
Calm down, lady.
Ma'am, it's in 911.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Get up. Give me a drink. Ugly Mexican.
Okay, so apparently what happened is they just got to work and this crazy person is just standing in the drive-through window demanding a drink and making some comments that aren't very ladylike.
Ugly Mexican.
Hey, I'm not even Mexican though. And you're ugly Mexican. Hey, I'm cute. What do you mean?
Ugly.
What you mean I'm ugly? Hey, that lucky hurt my feelings. Why are you hurting my feelings? Hey, you can't be there though. You gotta. I can't give you a drink, man.
So this is an exchange between two people in a parking lot with this poor Uber driver just, standing with the trunk open, just waiting for them to get it over with so that they can get on with their ride.
Yo, are you recording me?
Yo.
Don't record me. So it's so funny. It's so funny.
It's public. I can record.
And I can
Look
take
at
your
you.
shit. I can take your shit.
Who can play that game? Who can play that game? Do something. Do something. I have you on camera. You started it. You started it.
Are we children now? You started it. No, you started it. No, you started it. This poor Uber driver is probably like, I did not sign up for this today.
You started it. Look at that. Now you out of your diabetic soda. Look at you. Stupid. 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 I'm good. Yeah, no, that's not mine. That was her. She kicked my stuff, so I ain't gonna let that fly.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save 50%.
Awesome.
That's £200 off for a family of 4. We've got many free child place holidays available.
Oh, hell no.
2 kilograms of baggage included.
Open that shit up. What the? This offer show crazy ass.
Now, with Jet2 holidays. Package holiday.
What is you doing? What is you doing? You doing? Get the
And you'd be forgiven for thinking this lady was just some random crackhead that our main characters accidentally made eye contact with, but she then gets in her boyfriend's getaway car and drives off.
What? That looks like it was straight up out of Dawn of the Dead. Like, just like running and just like jumping on the car and just like, ah! What? What was that about? What did they do? Did they look at her cross-eyed?
You said something worth $34 was not worth $34 as if you could not afford it. And your assertion that it would not be a commodity you would wear upon your objectified body as a woman. So tell me, price your bodies in this TJ Maxx to me as you view items that you would encapsulate yourself within, as you smell right now. They won't catch that on camera. They reek, and I regret asking them questions. They look like this. Anything else? Any representation you'd like to give for yourself? I'm okay. Thank you. You're okay? I'm good. You look like a failure.
What just happened? What? They were just trying on sunglasses and then like vlogging themselves trying on sunglasses. This girl just comes out of nowhere and starts saying all this weird shit. What was that about? Those girls with the sunglasses, that's exactly how I would have reacted. I would have just been standing there just flabbergasted, just, what?
No, because I just can't believe when people just it's normal protocol in the grocery stores to just be in the right side.
You drive a car. You're not named.
I'm going to move.
Okay.
Lady, this is not what you want to do. 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 I'm telling you right now, this is not what you want to do.
All that, and you're in the wrong lady in purple hair.
Lady, listen.
Yes. What do you want to say?
I'm telling you, this is not what you want to do, and I'm asking you to move. I'm asking you to move, please.
I'm not moving.
Well, I'm not moving either. We're going to be.
The police are going to.
Let the cops come then. Because it's on camera here.
Wow.
And it's on camera here. And if you want to get injured more, keep talking. That's what I'm going to tell you. So call 911. That's your best bet because your ass will be picking yourself up off the floor. I'll tell you that much right now.
Ooh.
Julia Mabry, Mabry is my name.
Yes, and she just said her name is Julia Mabry.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know if she's on something or just naturally this.
You have the opportunity to leave. Can you just please go? Please. If you want me to go, if you want me out of your way, just go. I can't get past you.
Well, are you the manager?
He comes.
Oh, what she's angry about that. This is ridiculous.
How you going to say you don't know what I'm angry about when I walked in this aisle? It was me and this lady in a pink hat right here. You legit stood in front of me and said for me to move. That's what I'm angry about because it's the audacity that you have to think that you could just tell me to move. You're in the wrong side anyway.
Faced with an impending confrontation with the actual manager and probably completely aware that she's totally in the wrong here and everyone will be against her, she flees the aisle.
Yeah, wow. And that I get good for her for standing her ground. She's like, no, I'm not moving. Because yeah, the audacity of this woman to be like, you move out of my way. No. How about we treat the aisles of the grocery store with our carts as we do the road? You stay on the right side. Like, Am I a crazy person? Is it not like that everywhere? Like, it's like you're driving down the road, you stay on the right side. I mean, at least in America, I know that, if in other countries, it might be on the left side because you drive on the left side. It's basic common courtesy and the audacity of this woman to be like, no, you move. No, I'm glad she eventually realized that she was looking like a real idiot and she just left the aisle.
I am a grown-ass man. You're right about that.
Yeah, I'm going to press charges if you touch me.
You think I care about that?
You will when you in jail. Care.
Shut the up.
Care.
You know what a clip is, don't you?
Yes, I don't care.
All right, then.
I don't care.
So you know if you come up that bus, your ass is dead.
Talk on the bus.
You heard what I said.
I don't
I'm
care.
a crip.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calm your voice down.
I don't care.
Sister people, I got this.
She can put her opinion on she want. Judge.
When you carry your little corny ass home, be what you supposed to be.
You a grown-ass man talking to a child like this. Grown-ass man, bro. Wild. 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 Wild, miss.
Wild.
FanDuel Casino's exclusive game Huff and Puff Money Mansion is packed with thrills, like mega hats bringing mega mayhem, and maybe even a visit from you-know-who. New players get 500 bonus spins plus up to $1,000 back in casino bonus.
We know why you've put off your best smile. The time, the cost, the anxiety. That's why...
What does he think? If that kid is 16, what is this guy thinking and threatening him? I'm a Crip threatening him? Seriously?
Don't talk to me. Don't ever talk to me that way. Don't talk to me that way. Get out of your face. Get out of my face. You gonna start? Go ahead. Don't talk to me. Give me something. Don't ever talk to me. You're my witness, right? He's in my face. Do something. Do something, asshole.
Hey, just get your gas, please. Just get your gas, guys.
Yeah. No, he was hitting in my face.
I get it.
No. If he shoved me, you're my witness.
Guys, after 2 minutes, guys.
Shit.
Hey,
Go ahead.
just guys.
I'm not scared. You're trying to scare me? No, I'm not scared of you.
Really? Because it looked like you were shitting a brick 2 seconds ago.
You left your gas cap over there. Oh, thanks. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you redeemed yourself, I guess. You still need to learn some manners. You do. What did I do? You called her name for no reason.
Just go, man. Come on.
Go.
Come on.
Bye.
Go. Go. Okay, so I guess the story with this one is woman and her dog get into an elevator with one of her neighbors at an apartment complex. She's standing in the elevator. The elevator is not moving. So she asked her neighbor, hey, did you press the button? And this is how her neighbor reacted.
What exactly are you filming? You're still being a bitch?
Yeah, maybe. What?
So you live on the fourth floor and you're an asshole to your neighbors.
Yes, it is. I
You
live here.
shouldn't live here and you don't even belong here.
Get out of her face. You're weird.
I'm not weird. I'm polite. I have basic decency.
Okay.
And you don't.
Thank you. Go home.
I am home.
Okay,
This is where I live. I have a right to be here. Why don't you go to yours?
I don't know.
Get the out of my face. Go away.
This woman basically had her intelligence insulted, like she didn't know how to push a button, and then she just like goes off on this neighbor. Like, what was the point of that?
From what it looks like to where it's supposed to be.
What's going on here?
Well, my name is Trouble, and this is Mrs.
Nothing. I'm not.
Okay.
So if you're going to use it, then you can't take it back.
Yes, ma'am. I see you have your phone.
I do.
Good for you. You think I'm a thief?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I am not.
Okay. So what?
You're not a thief, but you are clearly scooping dirt from her yard into the back of your truck. I know that there's like this idea that, dirt is free, but she probably purchased that dirt to fill holes or do something. And this guy looks like he's just taking it upon himself to come onto her property and start shoveling her dirt into the back of his truck. Like that's what I'm getting from this. I wonder if there's more to the story we're going to hear.
What company are you with?
No company. This is a personal thing. I talked to the gentlemen that were Hispanic who put this dirt here.
Okay.
And they told me I could have some.
Okay.
For this lady here.
Oh, I
But
need dirt at my
Diana-
house.
Right,
She's
but
my friend.
Right, but if you had said you had talked to them, no one that worked there
has
talked to us about anyone coming to get it.
You explained
And
that,
that's
and I
So,
understand
but
that.
I'm still not
So this
understanding why.
So-
just because you talked to the guy, he didn't tell us.
Right.
Right. So no offense, I don't know you. Why should I take your word that you talked to a guy?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll put this back.
Okay.
It's fine.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. But you're making it a bigger deal than it is.
It's common courtesy.
But
He didn't talk to you.
Yeah.
I
No.
apologize. He didn't talk to you.
It out and
Okay, yeah. Oh, you're gonna have to shut up.
We didn't mean we're not.
We're not evil people.
It's
Excuse me, we're not evil people.
No, and I'm
not want to take something that's not our.
no, and
us by somebody else.
if they said that you guys can have it, that's different. I'm sure you're not going to do the yard work tonight, right?
Pardon?
Are you planning on doing that yard work tonight?
Oh, we would just dump it in the spot. I have a well that was covered over.
Yeah.
With dirt, and my dog has dug it out. And I use the dirt to put in my garden.
Yeah.
So I need dirt to go back on the top of the well.
Yeah.
And it's
I was gonna say, like, if they come back, like when they come back tomorrow,
what are you doing?
then
I'm laughing at the situation because you like drama. This is drama.
That you're causing, my guy.
I am. I know.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm taking it back.
I know you're so mature too.
Oh my God!
Look at this guy. This guy's a fool.
Yeah, you should. You call God.
The way you're acting.
This is silly. I'm sorry. It's silly.
I know
Coming
you
up to somebody's house
apologize.
and assuming you can take what's in front of it is silly.
it's just that we don't know that they're not using this tomorrow, right?
This is part of like a $20,000 project they're doing. So I'm not about to have any of it walk away until the company says it can.
Am I walking away, sir?
Am I saying you're walking away?
No, but we just wanted to clear it up.
Steve, we
No, I'm not.
You're being like so
Am I
immature.
lifting it back into the pile? Yes, I am. Am I arguing with you in regards to that? No, sir, I am not.
If they come tomorrow when we can see them in the morning and they tell us you guys can have it, you can come back tomorrow and have it.
I
But
don't even want now.
they didn't say anything to
I'm
me.
doing this now.
We lived down, or I used to live down there for like 60 years. My mom did.
Yeah.
And he lives across the street, right down there.
Stop.
Walk down.
Stop. Let it go. Let it go, darling.
Well, you're the one
Please.
that just
It's drama. It's too much of your silly drama. You know that?
It wasn't drama. They were upset because they didn't know who was
Yes,
taking
but they wouldn't
the
take my
seed.
word on that I was returning this.
No, we're taking your word for it. We're just listening to her.
Yeah.
I was trying to come up with a solution for you guys. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't be talking to a Hispanic person anywhere. I wouldn't be. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm speechless. That guy was acting like a child. He was acting like a literal child.
Okay. The YouTube lady that does those videos. Okay, man, these 2 hours go by so fast. All right, another night of intel. Anything happens, I'll be on. Okay, Lucy and Tim and everybody. Have a good day tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow evening. And God bless. Hit the like button, please, and make sure you're subscribed to the backup channels. And stay safe, stay strong, keep your faith, and never give up. Signing off for tonight. Chico and Dude. We'll see you guys tomorrow.